Welcome all, welcome all. If you are looking at this video, you took the major step in really developing yourself as a leader. Why? Because you pre-ordered my brand new book, The 4D Leader. I'm excited for you, so excited for you. As you can see, I have a special guest that's going to be helping me talk about the launch of this book. But now, it's not only a book launch, I'm believing that it's a career launch. I'm believing it's a shift for you, regardless of what area you are leading. I know this book is going to be so impactful. So again, I am Clinton K. Powell, and I am the author of the 4D Leader, and I'm excited to be here with you. And I have someone to help me talk about this great book, my friend, my homie, my listen, I could go on and on, but Dr. Keita Joy, she's here to have an in-depth interview with myself and to kind of go behind the scenes of what the 4D Leader is all about and why you should be taking the opportunity to read it. Miss Keita, how are you?
I am doing great and I'm so excited to be here. I feel so honored to interview you on, like you said, not just a book, but a whole movement
Come
that
on.
you're bringing out into the world. So thank you for choosing me to have this conversation with you and all your viewers and followers and people who may not know you yet. And they're going to watch this video and be like, oh, I need the 4D leadership strategy. I need
Yeah.
all of it. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Thank you so much. You know what? And I was, as I mentioned, I was thinking, who can I have this conversation with? Because you have such a great background. You are in corporate spaces. As an entrepreneur now, you are a leader of leaders. You are doing what God has called you to do. So I'm super excited for that. And it's just spaces you have been able to been in, right? And even you have spoken some platforms with leaders that I believe you could chime in and to help this conversation flow well. So thank you so much for taking the opportunity again today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just like you, I'm obsessed with all things leadership. But this is an amazing moment because we've known each other forever. So I
Forever.
think that's what makes it even more special is that I've watched your leadership journey evolve. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like over the decades. How
Yeah.
old are we, Clinton? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Is
just
that
and just to see like even from high school to college and then now as a leader in your community through your church, with your career, all these things, how you show up so effectively as a leader. I can't wait to dive into these principles today.
I love it. So I think let's go ahead and kick it off and let's see where this conversation goes.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay, so we've got you guys, the author of the 4D Leader, a proven path to clarity, growth, and legacy. So I mean, I think the first thing everyone wants to know is like, what sparked you wanting to write this book? Like, why now? Why this book? Why this message? What
Yeah.
was it about this moment where you were like, okay, the world needs this?
Yeah, great question. So this is my second book, and my first book I released a few years ago, and I was on path to really do something different. I felt as though that it was a shift that's needed, and just me and my experiences. How many guys understand listening in? Sometimes when you experience bad leadership, your mind begins to think and say, what could have been better? What could have done better? And what would you do in that situation? And I've had my share of not the best leaders in the most recent years. So I wanted to pen something that will really help. And to be quite honest, the 4D Leader in this format wasn't the original content because
Oh,
when I first started the journey, I wanted something to be very valuable to the corporate scene, right? Something when you think about leadership books, you want it to be very I don't want to say vanilla, but generic enough that it could impact as many people because different cultures and different spaces. But in the process of doing this, God was very clear. He says, "No, I'm giving you a specific word. I need you to let the readers of this book know that you can do faith in the marketplace without compromise."
mm,
So that was
mm.
the bedrock of the journey. That was the bedrock of the journey. And then as I continued to write, it took me about 6 months off and on to write the book. Um, because I wanted to be intentional, and I would intentionally write on in the manuscript, then pause and reflect a little bit and then come back to it. So this is the final product, and the title, man, we will get into the title. It took me a while to actually nail down the title and to really allow it to speak to the essence of what the book is about.
I love it. The world cannot get enough when it comes to sound leadership principles. I feel like I was just talking about this recently. There's a huge like character deficit. Like people do not understand basic character traits that actually are
Yeah.
leadership skills. They're
Yeah.
not different. And I feel like the book that you have in this movement is unlocking all of these principles that we need. Okay, now so Clinton, we got to know the T. So tell us, what does it mean to be a 4D leader? What are these four pillars? Like, tell
Yeah.
us all about this.
So the D stands for dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as you know, the engineering side of me is, how do you look at a leader holistically? Many times in the space where you see a leadership, they focus on one or two traits of a leader, whether that's servant leadership, whether that's performance leadership. But in writing the book, I wanted to do something that's holistic. So the D stands for dimensions, and then there's four dimensions of a leader. So you have the called leader, you have the relational leader, you have the strategic leader, and then you have the enduring leader. So the great thing about it though, regardless of where you are on your leadership journey, it's never a finite destination. As you elevate, your level of called elevate. As you elevate, your relational skill set needs to elevate. As you elevate, you need to be more strategic. So you can literally read this book in different spaces of your leadership journey, and you will be able to take away some key points about that.
Okay, so okay, oh my gosh, I'm so intrigued now, even more than before. So these different dimensions, is it like phases you're going through, or you can see yourself in all four at the same time? How does one know which
Perfect.
one am I and which one
Yeah.
should I focus on based on the season that I'm in?
No, that's a great question. So you can look at the book, and the approach is, the framework is, you represent each phase, but a specific area time in your life, you're more in line with one dimension than another. What does that
Okay.
mean? So if you're a first time leader, you're gonna be that called leader, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, you need to figure out, as I mentioned, the hardest person to lead is yourself, is that person in the mirror. So we talked about, you mentioned the character about a leader, right? So those are the things that we focus in on the called phase, the understanding that it's your character that matters, it's your integrity that matters. I referenced the story of David being in the cave. David was called to be king, but he went back into the field. Then he had some success beating Goliath. And then after that success, he was called into the palace. But guess what? He was called to the palace, but he wasn't called as a king. He was still developing his leadership. But he ended up running because of bad leadership, right? Because Saul was
Mm.
not stewarding him, was not mentoring him, but instead he was jealous. He was afraid of to lose that power. So David ran. So in that cave moment, he was questioning who he was. So it's talking about your purpose. Who has God called you to be? And when we say calling and purpose, a lot of times we get lost and think it's only ministry related. In reality, the fact, God, the whole context of ministry is that you go into the world. So every day is ministry to us. If you believe Christ is your savior, when you go to the grocery store, you're doing ministry. When you are at church, of course, that's ministry. But among your family members, when you go to your in the professional setting, God is forever with you. So he had to understand his calling. What was the purpose? Sometimes when life gets tough, you got to go back and ask your why. You got to figure out what exactly is your why. So we talk about that in the call phase, and then we talk about being pruned in the dark, because we talked about that character. Many people, the reason why they crumble under the spotlight, because they didn't have a real foundation in the dark. I'm gonna let
That's
that
good.
simmer a
That's
little bit.
good. Simmer, let it simmer, man. Let
I'm,
it
I'm gonna let
simmer.
us simmer a little bit, because so often, especially in our culture today, we are microwave society. We want to be leaders tomorrow. We want to be famous tomorrow. We want to be wealthy tomorrow. But if you are not doing the things today, you won't be ready for tomorrow. I heard Bishop Jake say this. He says, a blessing given in the wrong time is a curse.
That's good. That's talking good now.
So his example was that if I give my 8-year-old son a brand new car and I give him the keys for him to try to drive that car, it's a blessing, but it's not in the right time because an 8-year-old cannot drive. An 8-year-old barely his foot could barely fit the reach the pedals. So there's so many different things. So that I talk about that in the call season, and I also talk about the this whole perfectionist thing that we have. I
Mm,
have to be perfect to lead. If I'm not perfect, I can't lead. But that is not the case. I coined this and I love to say this. You have to be a forever learner. As
yeah.
long as you're willing to learn, that you will always find the right answer. But you just have to be humble enough to willing to learn. So that's that called phase.
That's so good. I love that. That called phase speaks to me. And I can think back, Clinton, when I first started my leadership, entrepreneurship journey, there were certain contracts I wanted so bad that in my mind, in my delusional mind,
Yep.
I thought I was ready for. Fast forward like 6, 7 years later, when some of those came, I was like, oh, now I see God. I wasn't ready for that just then. Like to
Yeah.
your point, I was like that 8-year-old wanting to drive, but I can't even touch the pedal. But in my mind, I'm like, look, I got the steering wheel. I'm
I'm ready to
like,
go.
I'm ready. And so that is such a good point. So I'm so glad that your book is really going to dive into what happens once you realize you are called and what does that journey look like being called, right?
Yeah.
So that's really powerful. Okay, so now you're called, and then the next dimension
It,
is what, Clinton?
the relational. So what is that relational? And
Yes.
I like to explain it like this. It's your horizontal relationship. Is how do you deal with those that are next to you and those who are below you? So
Mm,
it's a very famous type of leadership is servant leadership, and we get that a lot in the Christian space because we assimilate that to Jesus and how he leads. So the relational is really heavy on the relationship. Can I tell leaders out here who when you're listening to this, if there are no relationships, who are you leading?
hmm.
You're leading no one but yourself. So in order to be a leader, you must have followers. And if you have followers, you have to keep your followers' heart in mind because you are responsible for them. I think if more people understand the weight of leadership and what it's supposed to be, you're responsible. Let's look at it. I've been 20 years in corporate America. 15 out of that 20 has been leadership roles. And one of the roles I enjoyed the most was an engineering lead role, which is the managing of the engineering team. So at one point, I had about 15 engineers reporting to me. And when the VP hired me, he said this, Clint, you're an engineer, you know the mechanics, you know the design. But the reason why I'm hiring you is because you have an opportunity that you are responsible for developing the future leaders of this company. And that was his thing. So yes, I'm doing the managing of the engineering side, but he was more concerned with the people development. So if you don't go into it with the mindset that I'm here to develop people and not to take from them, then you're going to definitely fall short.
You talking real good. This book is something that we all need. Because let me tell you something. I feel like people want leadership because they want the title and they want to
Yeah,
stroke their ego. But
yeah.
everything that you said goes completely against that. It's about care. You have to genuinely care about people in order to build these relationships, these powerful relationships where someone even wants to listen to you, where they even want to hear what you got to say. And clearly, you've had such a great success over the past decades of being able to cultivate leaders. But that shows me like relationally, there has to be care. There has to be a commitment to caring for others. And it's like death to the ego in order to do that.
And you know what's the bedrock of that caring is trust.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
what I didn't mention, so every dimension there are principles that fall in line with those dimensions, and the principles are synonymous to the chapters. So one of the chapters under the relationship, that trust is currency.
Oh,
Trust
now,
is
okay, wait, hold on now, because you're gonna have to unpack that real, not too
yeah,
much, because they got to get the book. They got to get the
100%,
book. They got to be part of the
100%.
movement. But we're just gonna give them a little morsel today. When you're talking about that trust, I don't think people understand really how to develop trust.
Mm,
What it takes to actually be a trustworthy person, but really for other people to perceive you as that. Because our
yeah.
ego wants to be like, oh yeah, I'm trustworthy. You can trust me. But as you being a leadership expert, how does someone build up trust currency? How do they do that?
Simple things that people think are not necessary. What about your employees or your team members? You actually learn their spouse name. You actually learn
Mm,
their kid's name. When you're speaking to them, you're not speaking to them with the agenda. You're actually speaking to them with the openness that you're willing to receive. See,
that's it.
when you get down, and I don't want to say get down on their level because I don't want to give the impression that they're inferior, but when you humble yourself to understand they could add value and they're actual team members and they're not some type of indentured servants that they're just working for you, they actually have value. You could build trust. And you know what's the number one way to build trust?
What's
This
that?
this people, I don't even think people will realize the number one way to build trust, follow through.
Hmm. Child, we can end at this thing right now, but we not.
Follow
Okay.
through.
Say what you mean what you say.
That's
Do
it.
be a woman and man of your word.
Yo, my dad always told me growing up, you only got one thing and one thing only. It's your word.
That's
Your
it.
word is everything. So I try my best to do everything and I honor my word. And I remember when I was in leadership, um, I was an operations supervisor for the field workers for the company that I work with. And one of the key things they told me was for success, when the crews ask you to do something, do it. They told me if I do that, I would be successful. I said, what do you mean? That's so simple. Well, you think it's simple, but a lot
You'd
of
be
people,
surprised.
you'll be surprised. And what does that look like? If they're requesting a tool to do a job, your job as a leader is to remove barriers. If they're
Yeah.
requesting a tool, get the tool. Don't argue, don't fuss, get the tool, remove the barriers. So that's one of the things, and that's one of
And
the
you made me
principles.
think about when they say that phrase, don't over promise and then under
Oh,
deliver.
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
That's a
and
big
that's
one.
like that's what you're speaking to. That's powerful when it comes to trust currency. And I
Yeah.
think that has a lot to do with having enough courage to communicate your limits, to be able to say no when you know you're not able to do something within a particular time frame. I think a lot of people have these great intentions, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. And then they look back and they're like, oh crap, I actually don't think I'm going to be able to get all that done in the time frame that I said. So I feel like it takes having an honest assessment of what you can do and can't do so that you can build that trust currency that you're talking about, you
No,
know?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So we're sliding in
We're sliding in
to the other dimension. And what
the
is
other
that?
dimension. So strategic. But
Okay, yes.
before we go to strategic, I do want to highlight some other things that I think is important for a relation. Um,
Okay.
culture,
Okay.
developing culture, and developing the culture because I talk about how to generate high performance culture. Because here's the thing about culture. Culture will be created if it's intentional or not intentional. It will always be created.
Hmm.
So you have to be intentional with the culture that you are creating. And that culture, it feeds other things. Like just don't, one of the challenges for leaders is to delegate authority because of lack of trust. Because they don't trust their team for whatever the reason is, so they want to keep everything for themselves. But I suggest here one of the principles who just don't delegate but empower. If you're going to give them to do something, give them the power to actually do it. Don't
That's
second guess
good.
them. Don't come behind them. and really trust them. So those are some other things that exist in the relational. So
All
we're
right, so
talking.
I got a question with that one though. Before I
Okay.
know you had your hand, because that was a good one. I was taking some notes when you were just speaking, leadership guru. Now, let's say you're a leader and you're empowering those under you and with you to perform, and they still missing the mark. What do you do next then? You feel like, man, I've empowered them and now I'm frustrated. They're still not performing. What would be some advice?
So some advice is, one, did you give them the training and the tools to be successful when you delegated
Good
them?
one. That's good.
So it's easy to say you're not doing something, but you didn't prepare them to do it. And that
Good.
happens a lot. That happens. Are surprised. We recently did a survey in our company, and one of the top rated issues was lack of training and processes. And that has been consistent over the last decade. Lack of training, lack of processes. So what organizations tend to do is throw people in the fire and say, hey, you gotta, or throw them in the pool and say you gotta figure out how to swim. But you can't have that expectation if you're not preparing them. So that's one thing. So
That's
now if
good.
you have prepared them, and you have provided the modeling, the mentoring, if you've done those things and they're still not up to, they're not operating accordingly, then you have to ask yourself, are they the right fit for that role?
Hmm. That's
You have to,
good.
are they the right fit for that role? If they're not the right fit, then you may do two things depending on the size of your organization and the feasibility. You may transition them to another role, or you may want to separate them. Now, a lot of people, letting someone go is never an easy thing, right? Because you think about the family, you think of all the things, that attachments that come with it. But I want to challenge those who's listening today. I want to challenge you in this thinking. By keeping someone employed who is not operating, is you, operating at the level they need to, is more of an injustice to them than to the organization. What do I mean by that? You have to provide that feedback to that employee and allow them to grow. Because by you allowing them to stay employed and not be able to operate on the level that's required for that role, you are essentially, you're coddling them. You are forcing them to maintain a stature that they are not able to do. So what you need to do in love, and you need to release them so they can find something else that really fits what they're doing. And then you will have to opportunity to hire someone that would be able to really excel in that role. Then that will help the organization. So it's not a bad thing in the onset, but it's something that we all have to experience. You have to put the right people in the right places.
That's good. That's good. You talking good. You helping a lot of people out there who,
It's tough. It's tough.
yeah, I think a lot of people listening now are in big leadership roles or they aspire to be in these leadership roles, and you're giving them gems. You dropping gems on gems for them. So,
Listen. So if you're enjoying this interview here, I'm telling you, once you crack open that book, it's going to be a game changer.
hello.
Definitely going to
Right.
be.
This is only a little bit, y'all, that y'all
This,
getting.
this is just scratching the surface.
Mm, that's good. That's good. All right. So now next we have the strategic leader,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
This is the one, when people think strategy, they typically think performance directly. But I would challenge my readers to, the performance element will be the end result. But when I say the strategic leader is, I talk about principles of how to lead in the middle, from the middle. What does that mean? You don't have the ultimate authority, but you still serve as a leader. So how can you move the organization forward? How can you be able to position yourself to really execute? I talk about how to advance a vision that isn't yours. That's a tough one sometimes. How to
Mhm.
advance a vision that isn't yours. So in your space, Keita, you would be bringing on people that will have to take your vision and run with it. See, for many, it's hard for them to run with someone else's vision, but I teach them what does that look like, and I teach the leader how to create the vision that is plain so anybody could grab it. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the challenges that organizations may be having with their production or productivity rather is the team members are not catching the vision because the vision is not plain.
Yeah.
If you ask, here's a great way. If you go to any organization, you ask them, what's the mission and vision? If they kind of start looking up at the sky and they start saying, let me think about that, then it's an opportunity to do a little better because it's not clear. And historically, 20 years ago, when you ask a company mission and vision, it was 2 paragraphs. Oh, we want to accomplish all of that. But no, you got to simplify it now. It should be
Hmm.
one sentence that's very clear so that you understand and that you could be able to take that down and really establish it. And another principle I talk about this, which is one of my favorite principles. Learn the heart of your leader.
Good.
Learn the heart of your leader. What does that actually mean? Many times we find ourselves in trouble because we don't take the time to learn our supervisors, our managers, and our bosses' heart. What does that look like? What makes them tick? What are the things they're looking for? Many leaders will say, hey, these are the 5 things I'm looking for. I need XYZ. But it's actually deeper than that. There is certain nuances of your boss. So for example, how he or she conducts meetings. Maybe they like certain things happening prior to a meeting. If you know that, you provide that. Well, in your monthly operational updates or your monthly meetings, they want X, or they're looking for something a certain way. How many times have you heard individuals do presentations and they're presenting to themselves instead of their bosses?
Hmm.
Because you're not learning the heart. And once you learn the heart of your supervisor, you will see the shift because now it's a caring thing. Now they say, you know what? They start looking at you for different opportunities. Why? Because you took the time. Something as simple as, um, that person like a special type of coffee. You could just gift them, just say, hey, just thought about you. And
Yeah.
these are simple things that you can do to understand. You ask them. How many times are we actually asking our leaders? So on this element here, with the relational, we was talking about the horizontal. For strategic, I want that vertical relationship. I want the strategy of how you impact. Because if you understand the vertical relationship, that you will be able to impact the organization on the grander level. And those are the small things. Ask them about their kids. If their kids are in sports, ask them, okay, it's Monday. How did John do last Friday? These are the simple things I think that can move the needle a lot.
And then infusing that into the way that you serve and support your leader. Like, for instance, you just made me think, like, if you know your leader after this has to take their son to little league practice, right? Like, you knowing that information, maybe you can streamline efficiently when you send them a certain email, right? Or knowing
Exactly.
when to help them with a certain task, and even bringing that up, like, hey, I wanted to make sure I gave this to you before 3 because I know today you're leaving early to go do
Yep.
something with your child with little league, right? Like, all that strategic planning. So I feel like that's been a central theme. It takes care. It takes,
No,
right? Like, learning your leader, it
care.
takes care.
It's that care.
And hey, even me as a wife, this is great information for me, because even I love these principles because they apply in any
Oh
construct.
yeah, 100%.
So
percent
whether you're in a corporation or even the dynamics in my home, it's like, all right, my husband's the head of our household. And it's like, am I paying attention and learning him and figuring out ways that I can support him better with the things that he has going on? Like, everything, he shouldn't have to lay it out for me plain. There's certain things, if I'm paying attention, I can be
There you
picking up on,
go.
right? I'm getting some
Yeah.
wife cool points right now too.
Listen, I'm telling you more. I'm telling you, and I got this, to be honest with you. I got this because to your point, it was an aha moment. My wife used to tell
Mhm.
me all the time, babes, it's the small things. It's the small things.
The
And
little things, man.
is the little things. So the little things in your leadership will move mountains when it comes to upward mobility. And as a result, you will see. They say you're a brown noser. I'm not a brown noser. I just pay attention and I'm
Mhm.
intentional of how I approach.
Right.
And
Right.
the last thing for this section here, which I love is strategic. You know what? You got to provide feedback.
That's good.
Feedback is your superpower. When I say feedback is your superpower, and I provide a framework of how to do feedback and the timing of feedback, what feedback should look like. So there's different frameworks within the book to help you execute this. So that's another thing too. The book is not just written as a resource of what to do. It's a compilation of how to do it, and I give examples that you can see both in the marketplace and within the nonprofit ministry space of how these things can be walked out.
I love that. And I'm so glad that your book includes that because that's what people need. They need the practicality of it all. It's like, okay, you taught me these terms, they sound good. Now, how do I use them? How do I actually integrate them into my leadership journey? How do I integrate this into the people that I'm connecting with on a day to day basis? What does this look like in my life? And so I love that your book and your whole movement helps everyone to be able to do that. That's powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a holistic approach because that's the engineering side of me. And as a leader, that's a great point. What is the most frustrating thing? A team member comes to you, tell you a problem without giving you a solution.
My God, my God, my God.
Yeah. they
I even tell my kids that I'm training them now. Like, you will not be that type of employee. Like,
yeah,
even when they were little, Clinton, when they would come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm thirsty." Okay, I need you to reframe that and say, "Mommy, I would like some juice," or "Mommy, I would like a
yeah,
cup
that's
of
good.
water." Like, be
Good.
already. It's like a mindset. Think about
Yeah.
solutions. And that's what
100.
it means to be strategic, is you're always thinking about solutions. But to your point in the book, it came from being intentional. It came
Yeah.
from care. It came from paying attention to the things that are going on in your company, things that are going on with leadership, and then integrating that. So that's powerful. That's good to have solutions. My God, for the solution.
My God for
And
the
people don't even realize, Clinton, how many solutions they would come up with if they applied your model and was more of a strategic leader. How many solutions you would just already find because you're paying
100%.
attention to the details. I feel like what you're saying too is like you got to pay attention to the details in the
Yeah.
leader that you serve, the details that are in your team, the details
Yeah.
even amongst yourself. Like, you have to pay attention to those details and those habits and behavior patterns. So that's great.
It's a holistic approach.
Yes, and that's what we need. That now more than ever, we need a holistic approach because no one leader is just only in one place all the time, right? Like, you're dealing with different people in different situations, different environments, and you have to know how to use all of these principles. It's like the Bible, for so
There
long.
you go. Yeah.
I think right, like a lot of people would just read the Bible and it only applied to like making disciples. Like, I'm reading the Bible so I can get out there and help other people to be saved. And amen, as you should. But you better read that Bible to help you with your marriage. You better read that Bible to help you as a community leader, you're right. And so I love that your book, like you said, that holistic approach. There's so many leadership skills that they can use for every aspect of their life. It's
No,
good.
you took the words out of my mouth, and that's why it's biblically based because
Yeah.
you're going to scriptures throughout the entire book that supports these principles. And let's be
Mm.
honest. Can I tell everyone who's listening?
Come on. Keep it
God is
real.
the
We don't want to
creator.
know other way.
Yeah, God is the creator. The knowledge, every book that has ever been created by man that speaks about wisdom or leadership is based on the Bible. We are just representing it in a different format in a different season to help us in where we are. So that's the approach. That's a holistic approach for the 4D leader. That regardless of where you are, you could pick up this book and then you will be able to find something that you could relate to depending on the season of your leadership journey.
Yeah, and that means you have a timeless book. We love a timeless book
Yeah.
that can always be applied to us no matter what season of life
Yeah.
or stage we're in. So thank you for these nuggets. Now, we did 3 of the dimensions, but we're missing one that's still going to be covered in this book of yours. And so that's the enduring leader. Tell us about that.
So you mentioned it. You didn't even know you segued it very
I
well
didn't.
about timelessness. Is
Okay.
endurance is are you running the race? every I opened this dimension talking about what we see so often: leadership burnout. Leadership burnout. Leaders are quitting. Um, they're quitting their jobs and they're quitting character wise. What do I mean by that? Their characters are going crazy because of the stress, because of so many things that's happening. You see, there's a stats that says there's, I think, oh man, don't quote me on it, but it was maybe there is something crazy. A pastor leaves or resigns every single day. It was some astonishing quote and stat regarding pastoral leadership. And then how many CEOs have we heard that crashed and burned? How many leaders that we worked with has crashed and burned? So I wanted to make this last this dimension focus on the fact that, hey, we want you to build a legacy that will endure over time. We want you to be healthy. We want you to have a lasting impact, right? There was a time I attended a conference and one of the pastors said this. He says, I no longer want to be the fastest growing. I no longer want to be the most creative. I no longer want to be the biggest church or pastor. I want to be a pastor that endures, that finishes the race.
Good. That's good. And to your point earlier, when we were talking about the called leader,
Yep.
you have to do away with that microwave mentality,
Yep.
like
Yep.
wanting everything quick. It's not about that. It's
It's
about
not about that at all.
sustainability. And your book is helping all of us to have sustainable leadership that's timeless, that we're able
Timeless.
to endure over time. Yeah, that's powerful.
And one of the things, a part of the enduring dimension, I go back to character. So it's a full circle. So if you look at it from the call, the relational, strategic, the enduring, it's going to circle back to that call because it's going to circle back to your character. And in this dimension, I talk about a principle that your character is your competitive edge. Your character is your competitive edge because if your character is not being pruned on a daily basis, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt.
Mm,
Then I talk about the rhythm. I used to say that life is a balance, but I learned very quickly life is not balance, it's about rhythm. And you have to redesign your leadership rhythm
that's
because there
good.
are some times that, hey, you may have to focus on this employee, you may have to focus on this project. That doesn't mean everything else doesn't matter. That's just the focus of that time.
Yeah.
And not if you're trying to balance it on you will never have that equal on both sides. And for many of us as a leader, it's not only two things you have to balance, it's three, four, five, six. Yes, they say
Look,
this.
you talking to me right now when I'm listening to you because I started this whole new Spanish fluency
Yes.
journey, this other venture. But my husband and I, we looked at our November and December calendar. We were like, we have no room to hang out with anybody else. No more
Yeah.
couples, no hangout time. Like that is off the calendar. And like if I didn't have this Spanish venture and he didn't have some other priorities, we could
Yeah.
fill it up a little more. But it's like using that wisdom, right? We want to be an enduring leader. We took an assessment of what's on our plate as a leader, and we were like, right now, that's it. Come January, we got a little more flexibility and we can add some more stuff to our schedule. But to your point, it takes understanding the rhythm and knowing when the rhythm speeds up a little bit, little salsa. When it slows down, a little R&B. You gotta know when it's a little jazz season. Like you gotta know the rhythm. So that's really really powerful that you're teaching that in your book. So what I want people to know, because you're just sharing all these amazing leadership gems. You have so many people coming from different leadership journeys. Just again, reiterate to everybody, like, who is this book for? Like, if anybody's second guessing, like, is it for me? Or somebody may be thinking, am I ready for this book? Like, all the tools that are in it. Like, tell us who are the types of people that this book is for and
Yeah.
why they need to make sure they pre order this thing and stop playing.
Come on now. So at the end of the day, if you are a faith-based professional,
Okay.
entrepreneur, new to leadership, this book is for you.
Okay.
And the reason I emphasize faith-based because I'm teaching you biblical principles. So if you don't align with that, you may see, make it may seem as off-putting. But I will also say, if you're not faith-based, you still could read this book as well,
Mm,
because it has timeless principles that will be able to grow your leadership. I just provide biblical context so that you will know and understand the essence to bring things alive. But literally, if you're a professional, if you work a 9 to 5 in corporate America right now, and you are a frontline supervisor, you are emerging
okay.
supervisor, this book is for you. If
Okay.
you are a pastor, you have multiple campuses, you have one campus, you are a youth pastor, this book is for you. And I
Okay.
venture to say, if you are a CEO, an entrepreneur, this book is for you, because again, the book meets you exactly where you are.
That's
And,
good.
and that's the timelessness of it. It meets you exactly where you are.
That's really
I
good. Did
think
y'all hear that? It meets you exactly
where
where
you are.
you are.
I
That's
like
good.
that one. You know
Okay,
what?
put that in now before I take it myself. It meets you right.
I like that. I like
Yes.
that. I love
Okay.
that
From the
one.
leadership guru himself. This book is going to
Yeah.
meet you right where you are. So if you're listening to this and wondering, oh, I don't know, based on my leadership journey, no, it's for you because you're speaking to growth.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We are all growing. And if you are intentional about your growth, you need this leadership book. Now, you got other people on this who are listening to this and they're like, oh my God, I am all in. I'm about to tear this book up. I'm reading this thing from front to the back, cover
Mhm.
to finish, in between all the things. And then they're like, I want more, Clinton. I want more of your principles. I want to dive deeper into this. What would you say for that person who wants to continue being on this
Absolutely.
leadership journey with you after reading the book? They're like, give me more. This was good.
So a couple of things. So after, well, let me say this. You're listening to this because you pre-ordered one book.
Come on, pre-order.
But the first, I would say step one, if you want more, you have to be an example of what leadership is. And
Mm.
leadership is always growing and developing others. So you need to buy another book and give it to another leader that you know, because you know they need that. So
Yeah.
that's step one. But if you want to grow deeper, if you are part of an organization, if you are part of the ministry, there's different options that you could purchase books in bulk. Why? Because I gave you different opportunities. So if you want to do a small group within your church, you could order a book of, excuse me, about 5 books, do a small group. If you want to do some type of lunch and learn with your team, you could order 15 to 20 books. If you say, you know what, Clinton K. Powell, I'm all in. My entire organization needs this. There's options for that as well. But beyond those things, and then you can find this information at the 4dleaderbook.com, the 4dleaderbook.com. But there's also opportunity. So I'm excited because I will be launching the 4D Leader Mastermind. And what that is you're going to have an opportunity to partner with me for 12 weeks as
Oh, wow.
we walk through. It's going to be a group of leaders who are really ready to be transformed. So there's a 12-week option, and then there's an 8-week option, depending on what path do you want to take. Because one thing I realized, that there's so much meat to this book that different individuals may have different paths. So we do have a mastermind option, and then we also have an option where I could come in and work with your organization. I love this opportunity. I'm actually the one of my first groups I'm working with is my church, and my pastor is Terrence Wilson. He wrote the foreword for the book.
Mhm.
He read the book and he said, my God, this is one of the best leadership books I've ever read in my life. And I said, can you write that down? He
Right.
put
That part.
that part, right? But he
Mhm.
said this, he said, you know what, Clint, you're taking my entire staff through this book. So that is another option as well, that we can come to your
Okay.
organization, we partner with you, and we will do that option is an 8-week training that we will come together, partner with your staff, and we will help you get deeper.
And
Then
I want to say, oh, go ahead, last. Go
okay, the
ahead.
last thing, if you want one-on-one mentorship, that is an option as
Oh,
well.
that's good.
That is an option as well, because I do understand that different people learn differently and different people want different type of proximity. So if you want that one-on-one opportunity to work with me so that I can help elevate your leadership and help you in your journey of the 4D, that is an option as well. Again, the information on the website, you could contact me and then we can make those happen.
I love it. I was taking notes because I'm jumping into all of the extra stuff that he's offering. So this is great if you are for your ministry, for your organization, if you want to do small group studies. He's got 8 and 12-week coaching available with the book, one-on-one mentoring. And what I'm getting from all of that, honestly, the root of that, which has been like a common theme for me as I interviewed you today, is care.
Yeah.
Clinton genuinely cares about each and every one of you. He cares about the organizations that you work for. He cares about your work teams. He cares about your ministry teams. He cares about your family. He cares about your heart. And so because he cares so deeply about you, he not only wants us to give you the book and run. I forgot, I'm like Sophista Ratchet. There was some rap song that was like, don't be greedy, give to the needy. It was like something like that. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know. I don't know who sung it, but I was like, it makes sense. It's like if you got something that's so good and it can
Yeah.
change people's life for the better, if it can accelerate their growth, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want as many people to have it? And that's what Clinton's doing. He has literally created another blueprint for leadership success. And so what we want to do is the same way Clinton had a giving heart and he's giving it to you. Now you too can have that same giving, caring heart and spread this message, spread his 4D leadership principles now to your work teams, to your ministry teams, to your friends, and to your family. So I highly encourage all of you, like, don't sit on this. Don't, it's the same thing like as a woman of faith reading the Bible. What I look like getting all this wisdom from the Lord, and then now I don't share it with nobody. That's
Yeah.
crazy. It's counterproductive. And that's not even what God wants us to do. He wants us anytime that we have something that's so great to share the good news. And so this is another extension of being able to share the good news. So he has come up with these principles to help you be an amazing leader. Look, I got to do my test. So you've got the called leader. Look, listen now. You've got the relational
There
leader.
you go.
Oh,
Yep. There
oh,
you go. I
oh,
love it.
you
All
you
right.
got the you got the strategic leader, and then you have the enduring leader. And he breaks these principles down in detail. And you heard what the man said. He gives you the how, he gives you the practicalities, and that's what we need more than ever. Don't just talk my ear off, show me what to do. And so his book is showing you what to do. But like he said, you can show your small group, you can show your work teams, you can show your ministry teams. Like, let's keep this good news spreading and growing.
Yes.
Clinton, I have one final question that I wanted you to share with everyone reading this, listening to this. Once they're done reading the book, the next thing that you want them to do, like you said, is go to your website and do what?
Purchase another book.
Okay.
Purchase another book and give it to someone else, because you have to spread this knowledge. You have to share it. So number two, I want you to go. You can leave a testimonial on
Oh,
my
that's good.
website. You can leave a testimonial on Amazon. Wherever my books are served, you can leave testimonials, because I need the word to get out. You can leave a testimonial on my company in Google, Empower to Win Coaching. You can leave a testimonial there. Just type in Power to Win Coaching, and you can just say, hey, I read the 4D Leader. It is amazing, and I just want to read more of it. And I think Clinton Powell is the best. You see, I'm giving you prompts.
Between that and Chat GPT, y'all ain't got no excuse to not give
Those,
a great
you know,
testimonial.
you know, and then the last thing is figure out, do you want to work with me personally, or do you want me to work with you as a group? That's the question. How do you want to continue the journey? Because I really believe it doesn't stop with this video. You got some insights. This is your thank you for saying you want to be ahead of the curve by pre-ordering this. So there's other bonuses and other things that I'm saying thank you for everyone that's supporting this movement. But to really move the needle, you need that community and you need that one-on-one touch. So let me partner with you in order to make you the 4D leader that God has ordained you to be.
Come on, 4D leader. Look, I'm a 4D leader. Okay. I'm in the 4D Leader Club, and I want all of you to be in the 4D Leader Club as well. I thank God for you, Clinton, and your business, Empowered to Win Coaching. You are helping and empowering so many leaders, and there's so many levels going from good to great, and then
Yeah.
going from great to greater. And so I'm so excited, no matter where people are at. They may be on the good to great journey, and we hold space for all of our good to great. And and then you've got people who are going to read this book who are great and they're ready to go to greater, right? Because you want to be obsessed with growing, obsessed with being your best self, obsessed with being the best leader that you can be. Your 4D leadership book is going to help us get there. Thank you, your longtime friend and fellow leadership comrade, for allowing me to interview you. I'm excited for you. I really am. I just want all of you to know he asked me to do this, and it was without hesitation. And that is because he genuinely is a man who is following the principles that he's sharing with all of you. There is no fluff. This is no gimmick. This is all true research, Holy Spirit, life experiences that he's put together in this book. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey with you. And thank you for blessing us all with the 4D leadership principles.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Just to listen, if you don't know who Dr. Keita Joy is, so just tell them really quick, how can they connect with you? How can they follow you? I want that to be very, very clear.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm a super social girl. So if you go on LinkedIn, for all my LinkedIn friends, Dr. Keita Joy, and you can find me. If you're in them Instagram streets, you come over there as well, and you can go to the Dr. Keita Joy. That's TheDrKeitaJoy. And I'm over there as well. Or feel free to go to my website, successuncensored.com. I'm in all three of those places. And the same way how Clinton is, we are always just here to serve, here to love, here to care, and here to lead. So thank you.
I love it. I love it. Now, thank you guys for listening to this. Remember the steps. You got to
Yes.
buy one and share, leave that review. And I want you to help make this a bestseller. I said it out of my mouth.
Come on, bestseller. And it's out
I,
of my mouth too. Bestseller, baby. Bestseller.
bestseller, bestseller. But it takes you, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Be blessed.